Solving a radical equation. The first step in solving a radical equation is to isolate the radical term. If your equation has two radicals in it, you need to choose one of those radicals to isolate. So in this particular equation, we're going to isolate our square root of 6x plus 1 by adding x to each side of the equation. So we're left with the square root of 6x plus 1 equals x minus 1. Now, to remove or undo the square root, we need to square both sides of the equation. Now, when you square a square root, the result is the expression underneath the radical. So we have 6x plus 1. And then when you square a binomial, that will be x squared minus 2x plus 1. Now this resulting equation is a quadratic, so we need to set it equal to 0. So we'll do that by subtracting 6x from both sides of the equation, subtracting 1 from both sides of the equation. And we end up with 0 equals x squared minus 8x. Now to factor this quadratic, we'll factor out the greatest common factor, x. So we'll have x times x minus 8, setting each of the factors with a variable equal to 0. We end up with x equals 0 and x equals 8. Now you can't stop here. Because you squared both sides of an equation, sometimes an extra or extraneous solution is created. So you need to check both of these solutions in the original equation. So we need to check. So in the first equation, let's substitute 0 for the x. So we'll have 6 times 0 plus 1, take the square root of that, minus 0 equals negative 1. So we end up with the square root of 1 equals negative 1. And since this is the principal root or positive root of 1, we end up with 1 equals negative 1, which no, this is not true. So what that means is our solution that we got of x equals 0 does not check. It's extraneous, so that will not be part of our solution. You still need to check x equals 8. So here we'll have 6 times 8 plus 1, square root of that, minus 8 equals negative 1. So here we'll have the square root of 49 minus 8 equals negative 1. 7 minus 8 equals negative 1. Negative 1 equals negative 1. Yes. So the 8 checks. So what that is saying is our solution is 8. So to review the steps for solving a radical equation, isolate the radical term. If necessary, you need to move the other terms to the other side of the equation. Square both sides of the equation. Then solve your resulting equation for the variable, whether that resulting equation is linear or quadratic, and then check all solutions in the original equation.